Good afternoon. Sorry for the delay. It's due to some technical issues. I couldn't log in. Um, Hope you can understand. Can you all hear me?
Yes, madam. Good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
What about the slide presentation?
Can
Can-
see.
It's visible, madam.
All right, okay. So parallel to this, I'm going to share a handout.
Can't hear you, madam, again. Sorry, madam, we can't hear you.
Okay. Give me 5 minutes, right?
Now we can hear you.
Sorry for the delay. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Those are the issues that we cannot overcome. Hope you can hear me and see the slides now.
We can, yes, ma'am, we can see the slide.
Right. If the others have exit from the session, please share a message that we restarted and I have informed KSP to extend the time. Right. The same time, I have shared one as a worksheet and a handout. Don't open them until I ask you to do so, right? Okay. So it is the last day of your module, teaching of writing. Why do we write and why do we teach to write? Why do we write?
We write communicate, madam, to communicate ideas.
Communicate ideas, okay.
We write for different purposes, madam.
What are the purposes? That is why I'm asking. The purposes I want to know. Why do we write?
To convey messages, for
Yeah,
communication, for
messages.
pleasure,
To communicate. Okay, to
sharing
pleasure what
ideas.
you write.
To
Like
Pleasure
report,
what
poetry,
you-
ma'am, short story, poetry,
to
Okay.
report,
haiku.
to argue.
Right.
To give suggestions.
To make suggestions. Right. So I very clearly I
To have an
three
impact on
purposes.
reader,
Sorry.
to have an impact on reader regarding the
What
task.
kind of impact? And what kind of writing are you referring to?
Either madam, positive or negatively. So
No, negative and positive in which context? Give an example.
mm, maybe kind of a criticism of a poem,
Okay.
or as an analysis, or
A
as
review of a film,
story.
film review, book review. Okay.
Editorials, ma'am.
Right. Okay. Now I clearly heard three purposes. There may be more. Think, why do we write and why do we teach students to write? That is why I copied this quotation, Steve Graham's idea. The primary goals of writing are to communicate, to persuade, to inform, to learn, to reflect about yourself, and also to entertain others. What really makes writing motivating for young children is sharing it and being successful with it. So the last idea is very important because it is related to what we do in our classroom. Just to keep, just to use this as an eye opener, why we teach writing and how we want to look at writing. Do you agree with the statement? Do you
Yes,
agree with
madam.
the statement? Right, okay. Right. So directly our topic, I'm moving to our topic today, that is planning lessons. this is not in general. We have to focus today on planning a writing lesson. We know that in our classroom, sometimes we follow skill integrated approach. Whatever the approach that we follow, we need to focus on specific objectives. Imagine our lesson objective is mainly on writing, then it becomes a writing lesson. Or we directly plan with the intention of enhancing sub-skills of writing. The other skills we have involved as a way of facilitating their writing or scaffolding writing. So this lesson planning is focused on writing skill. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. For your convenience of understanding, I have taken this as 4 steps. The process, I have taken it as 4 steps. What are the 4 steps? You can clearly see: introduction, development, consolidation, and conclusion. And in middle of this square, you can see 4 questions. Those 4 questions help you to plan a lesson. When planning a lesson, you have to think. It's a thinking process. Who are my students? What do they already know? What must they learn? The new content. And what must they do to learn? That is related to steps or the process or procedure. Right? And you can add many more questions. What materials should they use? Right? How do I know that they achieve what I intended? Likewise, you can add many thinking questions or guiding questions for your planning. In the introduction, if I divide this into 4 sections, what do you think we should write in the introduction of a lesson plan? What can we write? I hope you will understand that we have missed some time, that we need to accelerate the process today. So don't waste time.
Stage, we have to introduce the lesson to the students, whether it is a
This is not the lesson, actually. I'm focused. What is the topic you can see here? The highlighted topic.
Lesson plan.
Lesson plan.
Plan. Right. So
Lesson
focus on the topic, lesson plan. So introduction of the lesson plan, what do you write? What you said is correct for the lesson.
Is it like we will already the knowledge what they, I mean, what is useful for this lesson? Recalling those.
Others? Every day you write this section. Without this, are you going directly to lesson development?
The plan that we are going to do.
It's a number.
Target
Okay.
area.
The general information, what comes under general information of the lesson plan? When somebody comes to you, ask for the lesson plan, right? Before they observe your lesson, they get a clear idea of the plan, the general introduction. What grade? Okay, very good.
Objectives,
Right,
time.
now you are on the track. Yes.
Competency
It's
level.
a common thing. Yeah. What else? Time duration, curriculum link.
Competency level and
Yeah, what I meant by curriculum link is that competency level. What else? In the introduction
Skill
part,
focus.
skills focused, okay.
Visual aids
Right.
needed.
Is that something, now this introduction part, is that something specific for writing lesson, or is it a common part?
Common part, madam.
It is a common part.
Yeah, the titles are common. Whenever we write, the titles are common, only the content vary. Hope you understand what I said by titles. For example, grade, it's common, right? Competency, yes. Whether you write a speaking lesson plan or a writing one, you have that title. But the content you insert is different, right? If this is a writing lesson, the competency level, the title is there, but what is the content that you are going to insert? Competency level.
Competency.
Yes,
that relevant to that is grade wise, that is
grade wise relevant to writing
Right.
content,
content.
right?
Yeah.
Is that part clear? Even the objectives, right? We say instructional objectives. So that is specific for writing. The titles are common. And then you didn't mention, right? In the introduction, we can write the materials or the resources that you use. Okay, the time, this general information. And then we move to lesson development. Right? Development, consolidation, and conclusion. All these three stages, can you give me an umbrella term? For these three stages? An umbrella term for all these three?
Learning teaching process.
Very good, learning teaching process. Another term, some say procedure. Right. We have different names for these the stages included under learning teaching process or the procedure. But there should be a logical flow from one stage to the other. What we do is first we activate their prior knowledge, and then we present the new content, and then we check whether they understood it, and then since this is writing, then we move to practice in a sequential order. How do we practice? We can start from control practice and then semi-control practice and move to what?
Prior practice.
Prior, yes, independent practice. And that is included in consolidation, right? And we can get them to apply the content in real life situation similar to what they have done in the classroom. We can extend. And then we can evaluate whether the students were able to achieve the intended objectives of the day. Right? And then you can have a wrap up to recall and summarize the content that you have handled. This is a brief introduction for what we are going to discuss in detail. Now, when planning a lesson for writing, we have two levels, one for the primary and for the secondary. Is there any kind of difference, or do you see any difference in plans, or is it the same? Can we apply the same in two different contexts? What is your idea?
I believe it should be different for primary and secondary.
Hmm. Others? Don't keep silent.
Yes, there is a difference, madam.
Hmm. Okay, if there's a difference, what is the difference and why?
Primary, it may be the first time they are, I mean, it is the first time that they are introduced to this language. And so we should make them comfortable with it, you know, not just make them write it. Of course, we must make them feel happy learning it, engaging in it actually.
For the secondary, the qualities you mentioned, letting them feel comfortable,
You know, about
happy, you should not do that.
no, it's like primary, we should actually go down to a very, we should think as a child, I don't know, I mean, rhymes make them happy, drawing now. For secondary, of course, now, if I ask children to, you know, like, let's sing rhymes.
I
should
understood what we are trying to say, right? I understood. Can somebody help Fatima to explain it more?
Ma'am,
That means, madam,
primary, mostly we use visual aids.
For
Visual
secondary,
aids.
you don't. That is teacher belief. Even secondary students will be motivated if you use visual aids.
teacher is more active than the secondary.
Sorry, repeat it.
Teacher is more active with the primary students than secondary students.
Why?
Because the teacher is handling the kids in primary classes, not.
This is like a survey for me, how you think about primary classrooms and secondary.
We should
Right.
give more time the primary student when it comes to, you know, picking up things and repetition.
Wait, Fatima, wait, I'm still thinking about the earlier previous response, right? Give me some waiting time. Okay, she said, I forgot what she said actually. Could you please repeat the previous one? Active.
Active. Teacher is active.
You said teacher should be active. Previously, Fatima started telling we should let them feel more comfortable, happy, and engaging. I'm copying down these words, right? And then somebody said we should use more visual aids than, no, we should use visual aids for primary. And then the new idea, teacher should be active. Yes, now to Fatima back. Yes, continue. You wanted to say something.
It's like, ma'am, then incidence is spider. Now repetition should be, we should take longer in action. Now, if I do that with the secondary, they might get bored. They'll think.
Now, what is our lesson?
No, writing them. I'm just taking an example. Or if it's,
No, if you are giving examples, focus on writing, right?
now we'll say,
Today, writing is our topic. Think about writing and
we'll say that copying down a word like cat. So we should have a picture, and as you said, we should start from the bottom. And you know, the cat, we can use these letters in a picture like a cat and help them to, you know, picture it, memorize it, and display those.
Now, you all know the answer, but still you didn't directly come to the answer, right?
I always go around the bush.
Ma'am, again
yeah,
and
yeah.
again, again and again we have to explain till they understand the lesson.
Writing.
Yeah, writing.
Ma'am,
Give an
Ma'am, we
example.
have
Wait, hold. Yes, continue. You said we have to repeat until they understand what? Please tell me.
Until understand the lesson. That
Lesson in the sense. Now
Yeah.
lesson is writing. Give an example and convince us.
For example, that if you want to teach the student, what do you call, articles, A and O, the vowel letters.
That is a grammar lesson.
Yes.
මම දැන් හොයාගත්ත ප්‍රශ්නේ කට්ටියට තියෙන. Right? That is why I'm directing you to think. You are going to plan a writing lesson. දැන් කට්ටිය හිතනවා writing lesson මම මොකද කරන්නේ? දැන් එක්කෙනෙක් පටන් ගත්ත speaking වලට ගියා. තව එක්කෙනෙක් පටන් ගත්තා grammar වලට ගියා. Think, put the hat, writing hat and give your answers. Am I troubling you? I'm pushing you to the right track. Dead silence, why?
Ma'am, in primary grades, we normally first go from sound patterns, then letters, then words, likewise. But when we are in secondary grades, they have already known, they have the idea about writing. I mean, they know the basic words, most of the words, so they can join 2 words or 3 words and prepare a small sentence. Is it
Can
likewise?
you? Okay, so to save my time, I'm directly focusing. Can you remember that I taught you something called writing pyramid? Did you
First we
discuss?
have to boost the words, then the phrases and the paragraphs, likewise.
Can
Yes,
you
and-
remember I taught you something called writing pyramid? Have we discussed it?
Yes, madam.
Right,
From bottom letters, words.
right. What do we call them? Those are examples. What do we have in the writing pyramid? The sub skills of writing.
Skills of writing.
Then තමයි technically හිතන්න ඕනේ. මෙච්චරලා කරේ beating around the bush, right? So that is the point we have to start thinking when planning a lesson. So what is the difference between secondary and primary? We have to focus more on the bottom layer
in the
sub-skills.
primary.
Hmm.
Start with the words, then after. No,
Those are the
letters,
examples.
letters.
Sub-skills.
Yeah,
Sub-skills vary. Remember that.
yeah.
Sub-skills vary. So the answer that I expected is there's a difference between the sub-skills that we focus in the primary and the secondary. Depending on the sub-skills, we have to vary the techniques and the practicing patterns, right? The opportunities or the frequency of doing a task, those things vary depending on that, right? Okay. I shared this as a pre-learning task and some have done it. Maybe some of you see this for the first time. Now, as a teacher, I always get
Of course. You do.
Yes, without getting ready, I don't accept doing anything. I don't do anything in a haphazard manner. I have a plan. I know how to take you to the destination. That is, I always get ready. I get ready for the possible issues that I will face. Likewise. Now, this is something you do every day, but I wanted to activate your knowledge regarding this. Where do you find this grid? From where have I copied this?
Teacher's guide.
Yes, this is the syllabus grid. It is there in the teacher's guide. As I want to focus on both primary and secondary, I have selected two grades, grade 4 and grade 6. I didn't take grade 3 because I cannot put it in this grid. In the grade 3, there's a difference. Instead of competency and competency level, we have can-do statements and performance standards. That is the reason for not choosing grade 3, right? Otherwise, I could have selected the beginning grade of the primary and the beginning grade of the secondary, right? Do you think you need to refer to this grid when you plan your lessons?
Can you repeat the question, ma'am?
Do you think you need to refer to this grid when planning your lessons?
Yes.
Madam, you mean the grid?
Yes, grid.
Yes, madam.
I need a vote.
Yes, madam.
3 out of 59.
Yes, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Those who said yes, why?
So that you are able to plan the lesson accordingly using these guidelines now.
Yes, madam, when we write a lesson plan, there should be a competency level.
Why do you need them?
Because ma'am, at the end of our lesson, we are going to fulfill this learning outcome in related to the competency level. So for that, the related content we should consider when we plan the lesson. So these things.
So whatever we do, we have a framework, right? We cannot go beyond that, and we have to follow this competency-based or outcome-based curriculum prescribed to us. At the end, they will be assessed. At the summative test, they will be assessed considering the learning outcomes mentioned in the syllabus. Right? Hope that part is clear. Now, for your information, I'm helping you to read this. Now, why do we have these text types and activities under content? Why do we have this? Silence. Why do we have these text types and activities in the syllabus under content?
Because
When
they should
develop-
consist in the lesson. I mean, it should be, these things should be in the lesson, like, I mean, when we are doing the activities, I mean, it's the content, like we cook. The content.
When the teacher is teaching, she has to consider about the things that it is in
Yes,
the content.
the materials that you use should match with the content given here, right? Now, especially if you are designing an assessment, the type of text that you include should match with this, and the techniques that you use should match with the activities mentioned here, right? This is useful for the curriculum material developers, teachers, as well as the examiners, right? It makes our boundaries very clear. It makes our path very clear. Unfortunately, majority do not refer to these things. Right. Now coming back to learning outcomes, students will be able to copy words with correct letter formation, size, and space between letters accurately. I have given the task. How can you assess whether students achieve the learning outcome? How do you assess?
Assessing can be given now here, correct letter formation, size, space, so that we can give a wrong text, like without space, capitals, simples, like we'll say, and went to the shop.
You are describing the task.
So no, ma'am. If they write it properly, can't we? I mean, if they rewrite it accordingly, we can evaluate, isn't it? Assess them.
Others?
And when they
Okay.
are in the books, when they do the activities, I mean, when they copy
Okay, imagine they completed the task. How do you evaluate or how do you assess? What evidences do you look for?
Answer scripts.
In the answer script, what are you looking for?
name of a
Let-
beginning of the sentence should be capital.
Letters,
Wait,
space.
Fatima, let the person to speak, yes?
Madam, letters between, space between each letters and
Okay,
each letter and words.
One is you look for spacing between letters, whether they have done it correctly. Okay, what else?
Capital letters, capitalization, round letters, tail letters, like that, madam.
Uh-huh. So prepare a statement.
Sorry, madam.
Prepare a statement for that, what you look for.
Then if we gave a proper noun, then they want to use block letters at the beginning, like that.
What I'm asking is assessment criteria, right? How can you assess whether students achieve the LO? For looking at the LO, that is the actual task that I expected from you. Now, in order to check whether they have achieved this LO, first you should have some assessment criteria derived from the LO. Right? Is the task clear now?
Yeah, like students will be able to leave sufficient space between words. Amen.
No. Assessment criteria, how do we write? Write.
Madam,
Okay. Say it.
Students use the correct space between each word. Right there.
Here, not words actually. Space
Letters.
between letters in a
Letters.
word.
Word. Yes, madam.
Okay. What else can be written for this particular LO? Okay, the assessment task is copies 5-letter words in the alphabetical order. That is my assessment task. Right? Now tell me how we are going to allocate marks for that. You know why I am asking this much of questions focusing on a single learning outcome. This is the best place to practice writing correct instructional objectives. If you can derive correct assessment criteria, you can very clearly write instructional objectives. Because what you teach, you should assess. Yes, Fatima?
Legible letters, they should write legible letters. Is that a
Have we mentioned legibility here?
no? But correct the formation. Like
Correct letter formation and legibility, are they two different things or same thing?
so if the formation is not there, I mean, it might not be legible. Isn't
Fatima, legibility is something.
කියවන්න පුළුවන් විදිහට you should be able to write.
Correct letter formation, a child can write simple P
Yeah, the line.
instead of capital P.
Okay, ma'am.
Or the way they write capital P, they will write simple P. Or they will write simple A in a wrong formation, but still we can read it.
Yes, got it.
Is it clear? So legibility is something else.
Then the space between letters, does that come on? Because these already there.
Still thinking about my question. Okay. Some have developed lessons for this question. Actually, what I expected was a 5-minute activity. This is a 5-minute activity. So your answers show that you could not understand my task given. Some have sent me even lesson plans. Right? So that gave me a very good understanding of your present status. Now let's look at the same thing. Now, at the end of your lessons, students will be able to copy words with correct letter formation, size and space between letters accurately. That is the expected level of this competency. Can a teacher give 3 sentences to be copied as an assessment task?
No, only words.
Good. They cannot give sentences. What can they give?
Words.
Words. A list of words can be given. Or a line of words can be given. Right? And meaningful copying activity can be given. I think I have explained meaningful and mechanical copying, right? For this task, you can choose any meaningful copying or mechanical copying, right? For the assessment, I mean. And for the assessment criteria, what we can write is, somebody said, uses, yes, correct space between letters in a word. Uses correct space between letters in a word, right? And then we can write uses correct letter formation when writing 5-letter words. Uses or writes 5-letter words using correct letter formation. Writes 5-letter words using correct letter size. Likewise, you have to develop assessment criteria. Think about how I am going to assess. And then, can you teach all these content within one period?
No.
Right. So the learning outcome shows the areas that you have to touch. One aspect they should achieve is copying words with correct letter formation. Copying words, sorry, we cannot use the word write. We have to use the word always copies. Writing and copying is 2 different things, right? Copies correct letter formation, copies words with correct letter formation, size and space. We can divide this into several periods and practice, because within the alphabet we have variations. We know the most difficult letters for students, often confused letters for students, like P and Q, B and D, likewise. This is grade 4, so you can focus on very specific writing issues and give this task. When writing instructional objectives, in the same manner, we have to be very specific, and we have to write what can be achievable within 30 minutes period, right? That is why I asked, can we achieve all these things within a period? Now I'm moving to grade 6-1, that is describing pictures. Students will be able to describe photographs and the pictures of village fair. Now, if you are writing an instructional objective under this LO, how would you write this?
Madam, uses correct sentence structures to describe the given picture.
You are telling instructional objectives or assessing. Assessment criteria.
Assessment criteria. Sorry, madam.
Yeah. Now think about instructional objectives since we discussed about assessment criteria in the previous one. What sub-skills will be needed to do this? In other words,
Knowledge of grammar.
Related vocabulary.
right. So how do we write instructional objectives? Now, students will be able to use appropriate words to describe a given photograph. Or if you want to make it more specific, students will be able to describe or use appropriate vocabulary to describe the picture of a village fair. Or public place, we can say. What else? Vocabulary vitara dona wenna. Students will be able to
Correct sentence patterns.
Sentence structures.
teachers should know what sentence patterns that they should use.
Simple sentence.
Simple කිව්වමත් අපිට හතක් තියෙනවනේ නේද?
Simple
Mono
present.
tense. If you are writing this, be more specific. Which tense? What sentence patterns? මෙහෙම හිතන්න නැති වුණාම තමයි ඔයාලගේ lessons complicated වෙන්නේ ළමයින්ටත් complicated teacherත් complicated. You don't know how to scaffold. You don't know what materials you should use to help them. If it is picture description, how would they write? මොනවද patterns ඕන වෙන්නේ?
Continuous.
Then we use present simple, then we can use
There are
Present
there are
continuous.
FVC.
Present continuous.
Present continuous.
Hmm.
Present continuous. She is sitting on
Ah, Students will be able to construct present continuous sentences to describe actions in the picture. Isn't it very specific?
Yes.
Right. Then teacher knows that I have to take happenings and doings in the picture through their writing. Teacher get ready for that. Students will be able to use prepositions of place to describe objects in the picture. It should be specific like that. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
How about adjectives, ma'am, like the girl wearing a red dress? Kind of.
I think now here, what is expected is the ability to describe photographs and pictures. Does it indicate that they need to use adjectives, adverbs? මෙන්න මේක හරියට identify කරගත්තේ නැති වුණාම අපි ඔක්කොම උගන්වන්න හදනවා මේකෙන් demand කරනවා යාට දෙන්න produce කරන්න. If they can simply describe what is in the picture, what happens in the picture, or
Keywords related to the picture.
very good keywords. ඇත්තනම description එක ගැන අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් you can have your own limitations if it is given here. The length, how many sentences do you expect? Or the number of vocabulary in a sentence. These conditions can be laid by the teacher, the number of sentences. Then Danona, I expect he is running. Echaraina. The boy, there's a boy, the boy is running. It depend when level of students. Then Fatima can with it, if you demand adjectives, then teacher can have an extension to differentiate the level. 3 sentences with this number of sentences. I'm talking about assessment criteria, right? We know how to write instructional objectives. When assessing, if you need to differentiate, you can have some specific assessment criteria for extensions. The number of words within a sentence, right? Now, what I have seen is what teachers do is they write just one. Students will be able to write a description about a photograph. ඒක ඇතිද අපිට when planning a lesson? එහෙම තිබ්බොත් ඇතිද අපිට?
Monday, it's not enough.
Oh, in other words, මෙතනට මේ objectives එන්නේ කොහෙන්ද? Those are the steps or stage aims in our lesson. අපි අපේ lesson එකේ activities 3ක් තියෙනවා නම් there should be an aim related to that particular activity. It comes under instructional objective. පැහැදිලිද? No answer.
Yes, madam.
Yes, madam.
When you write instructional objectives, now stages තියෙන්නේ flow එකකටනේ. Then you write stage aims in a sequential order. So those, when they complete one step, that will help them to achieve the second step. Okay. What are the characteristics of good instructional objectives? What are the three characteristics?
We should be able to attain it within the time period that we are planning. Neither.
In short, we call, yes,
They should be measured.
smart කියනවා අපි නේද? Smart
Specific,
qualities,
Measurable.
specific,
uh,
measurable,
accurate,
not accurate actually. What are the smart qualities of instructional
relevant,
objects?
relevancy,
A, what is A? Specific, measurable, achievable.
achievable, yes.
Relevance or relevant. T,
Time.
time bound.
Timeable,
Time bound. So within the time, they should be able to achieve. So when you write instructional objectives, now you can self-evaluate the objectives that you have written. And when you go through the instructional objectives written by peers, evaluate them. Check whether they are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, right? Next one, what factors are essential when planning a lesson? Give your ideas.
The level of the student.
Now you can go back to the handout given to you in the group. May group again නැති අය ඇති. I don't have any other way to send it, please forward it to the others as well. Not the worksheet, take the handout. Factors to be considered before planning a writing lesson. I have given a list. What is the first thing there?
Proficiency.
Level of proficiency.
Yes, level of proficiency. So you should know the language level of the students, right? When we say level, one level is language level. What are the other levels that you have to consider?
Ability to write now, native speakers, they have very good English, so the language knowledge is there. But youngsters, when it comes to writing, I just gave an example. Ability to write, I mean, youngsters won't be able to write long sentences, so the level.
Thank you, Purnima, for uploading this date handout.
Sure, ma'am.
Right. Level of proficiency. When you talk about level of proficiency, we know that there's an expected average level for the class, but there may be students with different levels. Of course, all our Sri Lankan classrooms are filled with mixed ability learners, right? So when planning lessons, you should think about that. The variations in level of proficiency and the expected average level of language proficiency in relation to writing. And of course, the curriculum link, the second one. Under that, you have to think about the grade and the grade level competencies and the competency levels and the sub skills involved in, and the time allocated for the grade. For example, primary we have 30 minutes periods and the secondary we have 40 minutes period. There's a variation. And this number of periods vary depending on the level of your students. Purpose and audience. Now, to make the students feel very authentic that they are writing for a real audience, the teacher should ask students, why are they writing and for whom they are writing? For that, teacher should be ready beforehand with some authentic task. Even this basic writing skills can be applied in very authentic activities, like filling a label, book label. By getting them to fill a book label, what can you demand? Book label. What is included in a book label?
Letter formation, space between the letters.
No, I'm asking the content about a book label.
Name,
Name,
grade 6B.
name, grade,
And the pardon of maths, the English, the subject.
not Padama subject,
Yeah, sorry. Subject.
right? So now think about the grade level. If it is grade 3, are we going to get them to write subject? Yes, we can. How? You can ask them to write, fill the label for their English pupils text, not about the other subjects. If it is grade 6, you can get them to write name, grade, subject, even the school. Right? But the task is very authentic. And you can add creativity, even getting them to design a class or design a book label. එතකොට අර අපි අර 21st century skills පැත්තටත් යනවායි. They have to think creatively whether they are going to add borders, use colors, different fonts, right? So here, when choosing the text types, teacher need to think about whether they are authentic and how they can apply it into authentic context. Materials needed, and cultural and linguistic background. Linguistic background, under that you can think about their previous lessons learned, whether they have mastered simple sentence patterns, whether they have mastered how to construct sentences in past tense, depending on the task. Linguistic background. And cultural background, how does it relate to your lessons? Whether the topics or the task that you have selected is something common in that particular culture, or are there cultural variations? And the relevance of the topics to the culture. If a teacher asks them to write about a Halloween, will they be able to write, our students?
No.
No. So like that, we have to think. And motivation and engagement. We have to ensure that all the students are engaged in the given task. That is why we need to think about mixed ability levels and plan our lessons accordingly. There should be something for each student. Then how are you going to give feedback based on your assessment? Is it formative or evaluative? Are you going to give immediate feedback or delayed feedback? Are you going to give feedback individually or in common? Are you going to get them to self-evaluate, or are you going to get them to evaluate their peers? You have to plan it. And then you should assume their knowledge level, proficiency, and the difficulties they might face, and plan how you are going to sequence your lesson, the stages, with scaffolding. If they need support in sentence structures, constructing sentence structures, you need to plan ahead. If you think they lack information, then you should plan to give information through a pre-writing task and make them ready to construct. Right? I'm moving to the other. Any question from this part? කට්ටිය ගිහිල්ලාද ඉන්නවද මන්ද? Are you following the lesson?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Okay, ask questions that you face up to this point. Or shall I move to the next part? Now you can open the task sheet that I have given. This is not the handout, actually refer the task sheet, worksheet that I have given. I will give you 5 minutes. Now 2:55 up to 3. Read up to the end of task 1 in the worksheet and complete the task 1.
We should complete only the task 1, isn't it?
Yes, yes. 5 minutes and task 1. Students complete a writing activity using only the examples of the language given to them by the teacher. Is it control writing or semi-control?
It is controlled writing.
Yes, because it clearly mentions using only the examples of the language given to them by the teacher. Right. Now my task is not that actually. Can you give me an example for this from grade 6?
Last time somebody told there was a passage to be written about people. Come on, lesson. I can't remember the lesson, ma'am. Wait, let me go. ඒක එහෙම කාටවත් දීලා හදන්න බෑ කඩලා දාන්න. කවුරු ගානේ දන්න අය ඉන්නේ? අයියෝ
Mute
මේ
your mic,
තව වැඩ
please.
දාන්න නැතුව නිකන් ඉන්න මමින්.
Mute your mic, please.
Oh my God. චූටි පුතා.
Can you find an example for this? Control writing from grade 6.
Give a second, ma'am. Last time I shared, my son is crying. It's very difficult. Give me a few minutes.
Sorry?
Last time I shared it, let me share it, ma'am. My son is crying. It's very difficult. Sorry, I disturbed the entire class. Is it the lesson 1 myself activity?
Don't ask that because I'm the one who is asking the question. You have to provide me an example.
Unit 1, hello, myself.
Anybody who's ready with an example?
Ma'am, in page number 2,
Hmm.
there's a spoken activity. Introduce yourself to the friend next to you. So before that, they are giving the structure. Hello, I am Misuru. I am from Putlam. So we have to follow the same structure.
What is the production there? Are they write it before they speak?
Not it's spoken.
දැන් මං කිව්වනේ හැමතිස්සෙම out of the track යනවා. So මම මේ lesson එක බොහොම slow කරේ. When you go through your course module, you can see in the course module, these things are not included. I am doing this as a help.
Is this the lesson, ma'am? Because earlier page you have the structures, the 4 structures. And then
Others give me the comment now.
now
Is this a fully controlled activity?
Yes, madam.
Okay. Now Fatima, I can't remember
Yes, ma'am.
the place. Please move to the page where you have a grid, a given grid, and asking students to make sentences. No, not that. A table. Okay, keep there. Right. Now look at this. What is the difference between the previous one and this activity? Both are writing activities. What is the difference?
This is like semi, they can use, I mean, it won't be the identical sentences, isn't it? Like.
This is semi.
No, make a semi there. Sorry.
Fully controlled, madam.
Because it will be, because when it's plural, the stars are, so it has to be twinkling. No, control.
Now, I have an advice to give. Fatima, first think, then produce this answer.
And then
You always give the answer and then start thinking,
thinking exactly.
right? First you formulate your answer and then give it. Right. Now, I invite everybody to compare these two activities. Is this very clear? Refer to the table and write meaningful sentences. Now, when you mark sentences, can children mark this activity? Okay, I will make it easy. Now, then teachers let us ළමයින්ට වගේම කියලා දෙන්න වෙනවා. Wait, keep it. Swinging. What is the tail part that you match with it? Swinging.
By its tail.
Huh?
By its tail.
By its tail.
By its tail. Are there any other answer for that? ඒකට වෙන match වෙන answer එකක් තියෙනවද tail එකක්?
No.
Then who's swinging? Who's swinging?
The
The monkey.
monkey. The monkey.
කවුරු හරි කියන්නේ ගියා cat කියලා. කමක් නැහැ. ඉතින් එහෙම ළමයිනුත් ඉන්නවා. Huh?
The monkey.
That is why in the instruction we have meaningful sentences. Right? මේ instructions උත් හරිම වැදගත්. Right? Accurate, if you say accurate sentences, grammatically accurate, if a child writes the cat is swinging by its tail, it's a grammatically correct sentences, but it is not meaningful. Right? That is why here under the instructions we have the word meaningful. Then අපි instructions ලියනවට කොට එච්චර හිතනවාද?
No.
Okay. Right. Writing what?
Writing an essay. That is
Cleaning.
the-
Cleaning.
Clean in the room.
Who? Yeah. All the others also respond. Please respond. Next one. Bathing.
In the
The
river.
river.
In the river. Chasing.
Mouse.
A mouse.
Mouse.
Singing.
A song.
Song.
Polishing.
Song.
Their boots.
They are
Right.
both
Twinkling.
In the sky.
in the sky.
Batching.
Now.
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 Gathering.
Nectar.
Right. Now, let's move to the other activity, right? දැන් මම මේ ටික ඇහුවේ නැහැ teachers ලා නිසා දන්නවනේ අර cat swinging නෑ වගේ අනික් ඒවාත් එහෙම තමයි. So move to the other activity, Fatima.
The earlier one.
Previous one, yeah. I want to show the difference. Right. Metana tiyene, here are some, wait, keep. Here are some short essays and you have 4 essays. Are they same? Make a number of sentences similar.
No.
Sentence pattern similar.
No.
Different, madam.
Different. Okay. Now move to the activity. Make a activity එක නෙමෙයි. Activity එක කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ අපිට? Next. Right. What is the task here? Right. Fill in the grid using the above descriptions. So that is the transferring information activity. Right. Write about yourself in the first column. Then you fill your information. And what is expected to write is completely different, a speech. And what I write, will it be similar to another person? The same answer?
No.
මොනවද මෙතන වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්? එක ළමෙක් මයි වෙනුවට තව වෙන එකක් දාන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් මේකේ යනවනේ මේකේ ගොඩ variations තියෙනවා ඔයගලන්ට තේරුම් නැති වුණාට. මේක controlled කියලා හිතෙනවද ඔයගලන්ට?
No.
Make a control na control nang even you can ask students to exchange books and mark it. Kaliga activity එක හිතන්න. If it is correct, everybody should get the same answer, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
මට තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ ඔයගලන්ට තේරුණාද නැද්ද කියලා මේ
Yes,
දෙකේ
madam.
Yes, madam.
control writing ඕන වෙනවා අපිට ළමයින්ට structure master කරන්න. Okay, thank you Fatima for sharing it. I hope you understood the difference between controlled and semi-controlled.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So students complete a writing activity using only the examples of the language given to them by the teacher. Then second task එක අර අපි swinging by its tail ඒ තිබ්බ activity එකේ are they supply any language additionally මොනවත්ම එකතු කරනවද ඒ activity එකට?
No.
No, we don't.
No, madam.
එතකොට දැන් ඔයාලට පැහැදිලිද what is meant by using only the examples of language කියන එක?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Only the examples of the language given to them by the teacher. එතන මොනවත් එයා add කරේ නැහැ. මගේ hobby එක ඔයාගේ hobby එකෙන් වෙනස් වෙනවා. Then I have to add that vocabulary relevant to my thinking. එතන I use some of the language examples given to me by the teacher while adding some of my own. පැහැදිලිද? දැන් හැමෝටම පැහැදිලිද? මොන activity එකේද මේ some of language examples given to them by teacher and while add some of my own කියන එක තිබුණේ.
First
Second එකේ
first
තියෙනවද?
one.
First
First
එකේ.
one. First one.
Hope now you understood this difference very clearly.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
පුංචි දේවල් තියෙනවා අපිට ඉගෙන ගන්න. දැන් මේ ටාස්ක් එක දැක්කාම හැමෝටම හරි ලේසි මේක මේ definition එක match කරගන්න. But application part we need to identify very clearly. මම ඒකයි පොතෙන් හොයාගත්ත activity දෙකක්. මම දන්න ඔය 6 එකේ හරිම පහසුවෙන් මේක පැහැදිලි කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. That is why I asked somebody to select examples from grade 6. Preparation එක ඕන වෙනවා කියන්නේ අන්න ඒකයි උගන්වද්දී. දැන් මම මේක දැනන් හිටියේ නැත්තම් 6 එකේ මේ දෙකට examples තියෙනවා කියලා I don't choose grade 6. Right?
Madam, in other way, we can say, can we say in controlled writing, there is an exact answer?
Yes, of course.
But in semi-controlled writing,
Both exact answers are there. The definite, that predictable answer is there in control. Teacher can predict
in
yes, student answers. Then මට predict කරන්න බෑනේ what you will write as your hobby. Their teacher has provided some of the language. For example, the structure support is there.
in semi-controlled activity, madam, teacher can predict, right?
No.
Control.
Prediction. Yeah, definite answer can be predicted in control writing.
Controlled writing.
Then ඒකනේ අර cat අපි swinging by its tail කියලා ලියන්න බෑනේ නේද? එතන meaningful වෙන්නේ නැහනේ. So you can predict the exact answer. Self-improvement project. So this is up to you. If you want to improve yourself as a teacher, you can do this. Even you can get together as a team and do this. මේවා තමයි අර නිවාඩු කාලෙට එහෙම නැත්නම් පොඩි ඉඩක් තියෙනකොට කරන්න පුළුවන් activities. If you want to be a professional, make teaching as a hobby, try these activities during your leisure time. Take pupils text and the workbook, analyze. දැන් අපි ඉගෙන ගත්ත දේ apply කරලා බලන්න. Writing activities given in the textbook and pupils book. Use a format like this, then analyze. Right? බලමුකෝ කී දෙනෙක් කරයිද කියලා නේද? මම මේ කියන්නේ මේ මම කරන જાතිය වැඩ තමයි මම ඔයගලන්ට සජෙස්ට් කරන්නේ. Right? That is how I improve myself. And I write in my copy all the details of each activity. Make a me grid එකේ දාන්න.
Means, ma'am, the activity is the type of the activity. We should write it as
Right, I mean this is, sorry, I have not cleared it. Controlled, semi-controlled. Right?
activities in the book. I should write
Or
it as
free writing. Yeah. So you can divide the activities in the pupils text and the workbook under 3 categories. What are the 3 categories? Controlled, semi-controlled, and free. This identification is really useful for you when planning lessons, right? Make a karana make grid dekama onne. If that copies are your own copies, you can write it near the activity.
Madam,
Using
madam, that category number 3 is free.
free
Yeah.
writing.
FREE free writing.
Yeah, we call it freer as well. FREER also used, right? Shall I move to the next? මේ සම්පූර්ණ task sheet එකම additional thing to your module just to facilitate you to understand the content. we need to know some teaching techniques come under writing, right? I have given some of the techniques here as guided writing, chain writing, independent writing, free writing, frame writing, model writing, collaborative writing, and parallel writing. Could you please do this? Read and match. මම මේකේ පොඩි mistake එකක් කරලා තියෙනවා. I thought of adding letters. මේ guided writing වල ඉඳලා names of the techniques කියන පැත්ත A, B, C, D කියලා දාගෙන යන්න. And label this description as 1, 2, 3, 4 likewise. So against this description, write the matching letter. Shall we do it together?
Okay, madam.
Give us
Teacher provides a model. Sorry?
no, right, ma'am, because we are running out of time. No, I wanted to go through it and give us a little time to read it, ma'am, otherwise, if possible.
No, we'll read together, I mean, one by one. Read the first one. Teacher provides a model in which the words are to be substituted, are highlighted or underlined. In other words, teacher gives a text in which some words are highlighted or underlined, and teacher expects students to substitute these underlined or highlighted words, right? For example, model is about a person. Students are asked to write a paragraph about another person under the same category. Under the same category means if it is about a neighbor, paragraph about somebody's neighbor, then teacher asks students to write about their own neighbor. If it is about mother, the teacher can ask them to write about father. What is the type of writing here?
Model writing.
Others? Guided writing, chain writing, independent, free writing, framed, model, collaborative, parallel.
Frame writing.
Sorry?
Is it frame because it has a particular structure, but it could be replaced now, like tall and fat. Now it's a short and thin. Words like that, it could be replaced. Yeah.
Is it parallel writing, ma'am?
Exactly. That is called parallel writing. And in the O-level papers, past O-level papers, years ago, we had this sort of activities. Can you remember? They give a paragraph about a person, and the details about two people are given in a grid, and there's a paragraph, and the words are highlighted, and then they are asked to write about the other person.
I saw the same question, ma'am, in a past paper question for a grade 6 or 7 term test. They are given about elephant and asked to write about parrot.
Very good. Yeah. So that is called parallel writing. I'm moving to the second one. Teacher provides sentence prompts and asks students to write a text using them.
Control. Provide sentence prompts. The meanings are confusing. I'm sorry, I'm not going to answer.
Sentence prompts means, shall I give an example? Now, teacher wants students to get for example, a picture description, teacher has given everything. Like this is a picture of, there are, likewise sentence by sentence, the teacher has given prompts. That is just an example. For any text, teacher can do this.
Is it framed?
Framed writing.
Yes, it's frame writing. It's framed. So you have to write within the given frame. Next one, teacher provides some guidelines in the form of points to be included. Now, like question number 16. Or teacher can ask questions to elicit information. In the class, if you are doing this, teacher can ask questions to elicit information. For example, it is about a trip that you went on. Where did you go? How did you go? With whom did you go? Likewise, teacher asked elicit questions, and or teacher can get them to develop an outline. This can be done in different ways. Getting students to develop an outline, or brainstorm vocabulary, or brainstorm facts, information, even structures necessary before writing the actual thing. What kind of writing is this? Writing technique is this?
Model.
Writing.
That is modeled.
Has teacher given a model there?
Guided.
Writing.
That is actually
Guided
guided writing.
writing.
Guided, yes. The students are methodically guided, so it is guided writing. Okay, next one. Teacher thinks aloud as she or he writes, so that students can hear teacher's thinking process. Teacher relates the task to prior knowledge and really our real world examples. What is teacher doing here? For example, shall I say, if I'm doing this in the class, okay. Today I'm going to write about a rainy day. Let me think what I see on a rainy day. First, I should do develop a word map. Okay, what do I see before a rain? Dark clouds. I demonstrate every step of writing by thinking aloud. So what am I doing? Why do I think aloud?
So that children are also able to think.
So by thinking aloud, what am I doing?
Brainstorm.
It's not brainstorming. You don't brainstorm.
Transferring
Guiding.
my ideas to them.
No.
Collaborating.
Ma'am, guiding.
Sorry.
Guided writing.
Guided writing we use now. It's not guided. Teacher just show something.
Then it is modeled.
Writing.
Yeah, it's modeling. Teacher models how to think. The process teacher model, right? So it is a kind of modeling. Thinking aloud is a modeling, a demonstration. Right?
Madam, how does the teacher think aloud?
Didn't you hear what I said? Okay, today I'm going to write about a rainy day. How should I start? Teacher pretends, right? Teacher pretends that teacher is not talking to children, but to herself. Okay, I think better to start with the concept map. What are the words that I need to describe a rainy day? Then I just draw a concept map, right? Is it clear?
Yes, madam. Now it's clear. Then when doing this thinking aloud, teacher can purposefully make mistakes, right? I'm not sure about this. Is it my mother name or my mother's name? If teacher thinks aloud, what do the students do?
They reply her, help her to find the answer.
Right. So indirectly guiding them through modeling, right? You try it. If you have not tried, try it. Okay. Next one, students write on their own, following the process of writing independently under a topic given by the teacher. So all the steps in the process of writing done individually. Teacher just provide the topic. So what kind of writing is that?
Independent.
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 මමත් හරිම කණින්නේ. මම ඉතින් ඔයගෙව confuse වෙන්න තමයි දෙන්නේ ඔයගලන්ට. It's not actually independent writing.
Free writing.
Free
It's
writing.
free writing. Why? All the steps in the writing process, they do independently under a topic given by the teacher. So it's a complete process done individually. So it is free writing. You will understand the difference between independent writing and free writing, right? When you come to the next, the relevant description. Next one, students work with a partner or a set of students to create a piece of writing.
Collaborative writing.
Yes, that is collaborative writing. Next one is easy. Students sit in a group. A piece of paper is passed clockwise to each member. Each student takes his or her turn to add a sentence meaningfully and appropriately under the given topic. Maybe a story, maybe a paragraph written, taking turns.
Chain writing.
Chain writing.
Chain writing, yes. Teacher gives a topic and students write on their own. Keep in mind that this writing independently is done as a part of a whole lesson. Maybe as the first stage of writing, they list down some information under a given topic independently. Not the complete task. So this is independent writing. What did we discuss under task 3?
Teaching techniques.
What did we discuss under task 3?
Teaching techniques.
Yes, techniques to teach writing, right? Now I'm coming to,
Writing techniques.
yeah, writing techniques, which come under teaching writing. Next topic is free writing activities, not free, free writing. This is related to planning lessons. Free writing. Why do we do free writing activities?
Activate the
Yes. Why do we do pre-writing?
So that they can get themselves engaged in the lesson, I mean. They are aware.
To make them get ready for the lesson.
Very good. To make them get ready for the lesson, right? That is a general answer. Even for speaking lesson, we can do that part. When focusing on pre-writing, how do we make them ready for the lesson?
So
What are
the
the difficulties that they have?
vocabulary, information,
Okay, vocabulary. Okay, what else?
information and the certain structures.
Okay, they lack information. Okay, they don't know the structures. What else?
Organization.
Organization. Is that layout you refer?
Yes, ma'am, the organizing.
What do you mean by organization? Flow of ideas or the layout, like a paragraph differs from email?
Layout of ideas, ma'am.
Right, layout. Okay. Now, if we want to make them ready for the writing lesson, we need to address the writing difficulties, right? This can be done with the purpose of introducing vocabulary or eliciting vocabulary or introducing the necessary structures or get them to listen to or get them to read a text related to the topic that you are going to handle or going to give them as a writing activity, and asking students to engage in a transferring information activity where they take notes and get ready for the next task. When they engage in the transferring information activity, they gather the necessary information or facts in order to build a passage, right? So there are different purposes related to pre-writing activities. In the same manner, we have different types of pre-writing activities. Okay. Let me hear what you do as pre-writing activities. Can you name some? How do you start your writing lessons? You give the topic, ask them to write.
Description, if it is a picture description, as we did earlier, the actions, INGs, we can like recall the memory of, the ING rules.
Okay.
Like cut the EN and the ING, those things.
Teachers, let me hear what you do.
Then am is when do you use the are, when plural is second.
How are you going to recall them, Fatima?
Now if I
Listening
can ask.
rules?
No, I mean, in general, we can ask if we'll say if and someone in the class, we can point at them. I mean, how can we use this sitting word? We can get them to reply like Annie is sitting.
Sorry, repeat it.
I'll choose a child in the class, use her name. Right? To use her name, still now I have taken the word sitting, walking, dancing. Now, if Anne and Mali blank sitting, what is the word we can use here? Recalling.
That means you write a sentence on the board with a gap for the verb.
Yes.
And
gap. Gap. Yes.
Right, Fatima, that is, so you write completion activity on the board and elicit vocabulary. Rather than that, can't you use an interesting activity to, if you have taught the structure, can't we use some interesting activities, engaging
The teacher,
activities?
Even
teacher,
say,
teacher can tell about her vacation or something like that, about an interesting place with some structures.
Hmm. So students listen.
like Simon says, like Anne and Mali are walking, then they have to do it. Then Sandamali is dancing, then she has to perform it.
So students do not produce, they just
Yeah,
Act.
they just act on it, exactly.
any other
It's
thing.
not successful, I believe.
Okay, so the pre-writing activities should be planned depending on the level of difficulties that your students face. That is why we need to think about our class profile when designing a pre-writing activity. What I use in my class will not fit into your class, right? But what I can do is give some suggestions. If they lack vocabulary, what can we do? We can use a picture and get them to label, or we can elicit vocabulary, and we can do a memory game. Like we show a picture for 2 to 3 minutes and put them in groups and get them to quickly write the highest number of words, right? And then like what else? Developing concept maps, vocabulary, games, what else? To support them in vocabulary during pre-writing stage. We can use picture prompts with detailed pictures as well as single pictures. For example, you can distribute some picture cards with children doing different activities and get students to describe the activity, or come to the board and write a sentence, something like that, if the structure is familiar. And when they when they encounter the difficulties in vocabulary, you can intervene and make a list of actions on the board. I have given some materials that can be used during pre-writing stage. I didn't include description. So using a set of pictures.
Ma'am, for vocabulary, can we use hangman? But it will
Sorry?
take. Can we use the hangman, or I mean, we give the blanks, we'll say the vocabulary cloud, we give CLO.
Hangman, actually it focuses on spellings and it wastes a lot of time.
Thanks. Okay, thank you.
Are we going to use half of the period for pre-writing? No, it should be very quick, like 5 minutes activity. Now, using a set of pictures, this is what you can do. You give students a set of pictures, and as a group, students look at the pictures and decide the order, right? So the pictures are related. When doing what kind of writing activity can you use this as a pre-writing activity? Students arrange a set of pictures given in a sequential order.
When giving like instructions, making a fruit salad, Writing a story.
May, I don't like to do the lesson interactive with one person. Please speak. During the pre-writing stage, you distribute a set of pictures and get students to arrange them in sequential order in groups. What can be the writing activity? Next.
Set of pictures means, is there a story or a kind of?
When I say sequence, that is up to you to think what comes in sequence. That is the clue. We give a set of pictures and ask them to arrange in a sequence. So you, as a teacher, you have to think, okay, this is targeting at getting this production. What is it? Good.
Build up a story, madam.
It can be a story. What else can be arranged as a process? Describing a process
Have
like
a process to withdraw money from ATM. Put the card in.
maybe describing a process or maybe a recipe procedure.
Madam, to find something,
Situation.
Sorry.
to find something, an object or a place.
Treasure hunt.
Yes.
Maybe.
Practical situation like direct.
Now I don't like the second activity that you said, treasure hunt. Actually, this is a writing focus one. So it should help a writing production. In treasure hunt, if you give this type of activities, it
Reading.
should be
They
a
read
reading activity. Yeah.
how
So
to put up something like we say
now actually where we use the set of pictures during the pre-writing activities, if we are going to get them to write a story or a process or set of instructions, right? And the second one, if students, if you feel students feel difficult in understanding the pictures, you can ask encouraging questions like what happens in that picture, where do you think this happens? Likewise, right? Second is using sentences. This is similar to the previous activity, but students are given sentences without the pictures, right? It's jumble sentences and they try to put them in the correct order. Only the sentences and they arrange them to put them in the sequential order. What might be the teacher's purpose here?
sequential words.
Yeah, to draw students' attention to the use of sequential words. So teacher knows that, okay, this is what I have to teach them. Right? That is, I said, the production may be a set of instructions, a story, or a process once again, right? Using a picture. Here, teacher can show a picture with a lot of details like people and different activities. And then teacher asks questions to elicit vocabulary items and the activities that happen or the actions that is taking place. And teacher can point to the people in the picture and elicit information from students. What is he doing there or what are they doing? And teacher can ask even the clothes about clothes likewise. And you can get
Things,
them to be,
prepositions, where
yeah.
is
And you can get them to be very imaginative by asking what might have been they doing before they start doing this. Likewise, if you want to get a creative piece of writing,
that was not
and
clear, ma'am. Can you repeat? If you want them to be creative, what should we do?
yeah, if you are going to get them to create something, you can ask thinking questions like, what do you think that happened before this? Where were they before this? What do you think? Likewise. So then they have to give imaginary answers, right? What will happen after this? You let them to exploit the picture and imagine.
Right, ma'am. Thank you.
Right. Then the fourth one, story skeleton. You know skeleton? Like outline. Teacher prepares a skeleton. That means a story with a lot of detail and description missing. Just like story frame, you have the skeleton with some gaps. For example, maybe the first sentence, once upon a time there was. Right? Then you have to fill the gap. Students have to fill the gap. Right? The teacher can read it out, display and read it out, and students in different groups can contribute to orally fill the story. Or this can be done as a whole class activity. Right? And then teacher can give the same layout to different groups and get them to create different stories. I have done this skeleton activity, story skeleton. I use this as the poem skeleton with grade 4 students. You know that simple poem, Two Little Sparrows. Hope you know that. What are the lines in that poem?
Is it two little dicky birds sitting
Yeah, we say two little sparrows sitting.
on a line? One named Peter, one called. I can't.
Yes, one named Peter, one named
Paul,
Paul.
fly away Peter, fly away Paul.
Hmm.
So we can ask them to, keep space for the names in the frame.
Then we have come back Peter, come back Paul. So what I did was, I highlighted the words first, right? Can you guess the words that I highlighted? I highlighted the nouns. Sparrows, wall, Peter, Paul, likewise. And then I asked them to substitute. Then again, I suggested other actions as well. Fly away, instead of fly away, students suggested run away, right? Walk away. You try this, even with small children, we can try out. And then we had like gallery with created poems. Children enjoy drawing the meaning of their poem. So try it out. Story skeleton. So the pre-writing activities, the name is story skeleton, but we can make it a poem skeleton as well. Even you can use songs. Using keywords, what can we do? You can elicit keywords. If you are going to get them to write a paragraph, you can elicit keywords and get them to construct sentences orally before they start writing under the pre-writing activity. Single sentence. This is once again to motivate students to write. You can give just one sentence. Imagine a trip. Or creative writing, when we want to practice creative writing, suddenly somebody opened the door, right? I write just that sentence. And then I can ask questions. What type of questions can I ask? All the WH questions. Can you
Yes.
create questions? Yeah.
Who was it?
Okay. Who?
Why did you come?
You write the sentence, suddenly the door was open, right? And then you, around the sentence, you display the question words like who, what, when, where, what else, how many, right? How far. You can add as many as possible. Huh? At what time? Who else? What
How
else?
long?
Huh?
How long? How long?
How long? Likewise. And
often?
then put them in groups and ask them to generate questions, right? And then exchange these questions among the groups and get groups to create a story based on the questions that they have, the other groups have asked. It's an interesting activity which can be done with grade 9, 10, 11 students.
The questions of the group should be exchanged with others and they should write a story for
Then that is challenging, no?
Okay. Yeah.
That is challenging. You don't know the questions that I have created. So then once again, you have to think. Putting others' hats, right? You have the option. You can ask the groups to create their own questions and start writing. But it's more interesting when you exchange the questions, right? Okay, now chain story, I don't need to describe once again. You can add many more to this pre-writing activities list. Common one, what is the common one? Brainstorming, right? Building concept map. Even listening to a song can be a pre-writing activity, right? The lesson stages. What are the stages in the writing lesson? Whatever the lesson, usually we start with an interesting activity. We can give it the name starter or the warmer, right? Which we use to fix the mood of the class or the environment of the class. Then we do a kind of activity with another purpose, maybe to activate prior knowledge or to elicit or introduce vocabulary and structure, or even to generate information. And here I have added the next step. The teacher presents a model of the writing task that they are going to do. For example, if they are going to write an email, teacher displays an email and let them examine it. That is the way the teacher introduces the layout. And teacher lets students to discover the features unique to that particular text type. Right? And then the fourth step, teacher raise awareness of the teaching learning point. In each lesson, there's a focal point that we need to teach. Right? In paragraph writing, maybe on the particular day, maybe your focus is on maintaining the flow of ideas, right? So that particular point should be highlighted here. If it is picture description, maybe the particular day you are going to teach how to use present continuous tense to describe actions. Or if it is writing an email, maybe you are going to introduce how to ask and give information. And then after introducing the teaching learning point, you get them to do control writing or semi-control writing activity. Depending on the level, you can decide whether you are going to start with the control writing and then to move semi-controlled, or directly you are going to start with semi-controlled and move to freer practice. Right? So this free writing or freer practice is a kind of production. And we evaluating and feedback can happen at any place during the process. But here what I meant is you evaluate whether your day's objective is achieved. And then we have post writing. What can we do under post writing? Can you guess? What can we do under post writing? Apinam Panti, Lili Udana
We can do an authentic, like we'll say if they have written a passage or a sentence, we can ask the groups to display it. And as you said, in the social media page, we can ask them to comment. Is that a post writing activity?
Yes, of course. So we can do different types of publishing activities during post writing. Or we can give them an extended writing activity. Right? Displaying work. This can be done within the classroom. You can use the wall displays, or you can collect them and assign them to make a class magazine or a booklet. Or if you are getting them to write under a particular theme, environment, you can compile a file or ask students to make a portfolio. Right? There are different activities. And we can display the written pieces on the walls and have a gallery walk in which students give each other feedback, or draw smiling faces, or rank their writing using a scale like 1 to 4 to indicate very good, likewise. And teacher can ask students to evaluate each other's writing using a checklist. Right? Can you think of other ways your students could publish their pieces of writing? Now you are teaching to 21st century learners. So what other ways are there to publish?
WhatsApp group.
Yes, of course. You can ask them to forward it to WhatsApp group, and you can share a checklist and ask them to give comments, right? What else? Asking them to send the writing to children's magazines or newspapers.
Once I did something like this, I don't know, I mean, it comes from your point of view, it might not be successful. But when they wrote the story, when I asked them to write a story about maybe about using the members in their family. And we can, create a book and get their parents to come and, read it and display it. It was interesting.
Yeah, you can have a book week or writing week. Even you can have book publishing day. Creative things, even like graffiti wall, something like that.
What is graffiti wall, ma'am?
You name the wall and let them to display. Where do you see graffiti? In your real life, what is the famous place you see graffiti?
Sigiriya.
Sigiriya, right? So that is the name, graffiti, Kurtugi.
Madam, can we have wallpapers?
Yeah, wallpapers,
Wallpapers.
wall magazines, whatever it is. So give authority to students. Always engage in different activities. You can have exhibitions. Before moving to this, I'm going back to handout. So these are the stages in the process of writing. Process writing and product writing is different, so that I thought of giving you the stages for your information. Please read it. Now, under task 6, you have sections taken from a lesson plan template. These are the descriptions written by a teacher. The activities, you have to suggest the stage or the stage aim or the title for each. I have numbered the sections. You have 1 to 9. So your first task is to suggest a title for each step. For example, what is the first one? By the end of the lesson, students will be able to give a title.
Objectives.
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 Lesson outcomes.
Can this be a lesson outcome? This is actually instructional objectives. These are very specific. By the end of the lesson, students will be able to use vocabulary related to types of weather. Right? What is the difference between learning outcomes and instructional objectives? LOs are very broad, and by achieving instructional objectives, we can help students to cover this LO after 2-3 periods. Students will have learned weather vocabulary and read the passage about weather and behavior of people according to weather in the previous lesson. Can you give a title?
Assessment.
Earlier lesson, there was a nice word, but I don't
Can you
remember.
give a title for that?
Is it assessment criteria?
Will have learned.
Related
Look
with
at
the
this. Will have learned.
prior, I mean,
Yeah, so that is an assumption that I make. With that assumption, I plan this work because I'm going to get them to write something related to weather. I know that they are recently covered the lesson related to weather. So I assume they have learned weather vocabulary and they know information related to weather and human behavior, right? Is that clear? So likewise, you have to give each step a name. And finally, okay, discuss the missing details. Now, I have not included all the details. What are the missing details? For example, lesson introduction part is missing here, right? Excuse me for 1 minute. Is my activity clear? So you have to develop this into a complete lesson plan, adding the missing instructions. These are additional activities that I have developed for you to practice, right? Task 7 is related to responding to writing. That means giving feedback. How do you respond to students' writing? What do you usually do? Can you please tell me? How do you correct?
repeat the miss, if it is writing, repeat the sentence correctly.
Sorry?
Now we'll say the child has written a wrong sentence structure. So we can write it on the board or reread it to them correctly.
Imagine you have 40 students in the class, right? And you have given a writing task. It's a classroom activity, not an assessment. What do you do? How do you go through their writing? What techniques you apply? How do you get students to notice their mistakes? That is what I expect.
Madam, peer correction.
Peer correction. How do you guide students to use do peer correction?
We can give them like what? Rubric. I mean, if the children are in a good level, but
Yes, how do you guide peer correction?
like if it is an email, the email should include all these information for this, the beginning, the ending. So through that, the peers will be able to correct.
We can display it.
Display it means if it is control writing, no harm, they can exchange books. Teacher can display the correct version and ask students to mark the mistakes. If you are marking students' writing, how do you let students know their mistake? Think and give me an answer, right? Can somebody repeat my question? Can somebody repeat my question?
How do you respond to students writing, no, madam?
Yeah, how do you respond to students writing? If you are going through their writing now, it's a 40, there may be 40 students in the class, and you have given a classroom writing activity, and you have collected their pieces of writing. How do you let them know their mistakes?
Using correction codes like spellings and SP.
Okay, so Fatima thinks before that, then you have to introduce spelling code for the students.
Yes.
Correction code for the students.
Yes.
If you have introduced the correction code, you can do that. So it's a kind of written feedback. So you give written feedback using correction code. So what do you think my my purpose of the writing task? Is it a formative one or an evaluative one?
Evaluative.
Evaluative.
If it is an evaluative one, you do not give comments. You just give them a grade. Right? So at the end of the term, you give them a test paper. In the test paper, they have writing activities. Are you going to write feedback there?
No.
That task is given with the evaluative purpose. You give them a rank, you give them a score. But for classroom activities, you do not need to give them a score. What they need is suggestions for improvement, right? So you can give them feedback, written feedback, or yes. What are the other types?
Verbal comment.
Yeah.
Can we generally
Verbal.
do this?
Yes. Now, there are different ways of giving feedback, right? I have given the names under task 8. Self-evaluation is one way. For this, you can, depending on the grade, you can create checklist, right? Very brief activities, very brief instructions, or even picture clues, full stop, capitalize the first letter of sentence, which they can follow very easily, right? And then you can have guiding questions for self-evaluation or peer evaluation. Have you used that type of question? Checklist, guiding questions, and then both these correction code, all these things can be used for self-evaluation and peer evaluation. And then I have used delayed collective feedback and delayed independent feedback. Sorry for this spelling mistake here. I wanted to add something at the end. There's a mistake. This is grammar auction. It should come after this delayed independent feedback. Delayed collective feedback and delayed independent feedback can be oral or written. Teacher collect answer scripts, right? Teacher collect answer scripts and categorize them into three groups, like very good, good, needs improvement. You don't mark, you just go through the content and file them into three groups, right? And then you have a range of marks, like for very good, between 8 to 10, likewise, right? So then you take one pile of papers and then you go through the set and give marks starting from 8 to 10, right? And you take down common mistakes or common suggestions for improvement in that particular group. And when you distribute papers, you inform the particular group the areas that they need to focus on for their improvement and add your suggestions orally. This can be given in a poster under three different groups. You have set 1, set 2, and set 3. It saves your time. It is not immediate, so we call delayed. And then we have delayed independent feedback. You mark or you go through each and every paper and you give personal comments. I think I have mentioned you. This giving feedback should focus on your instructional objective of the particular day. Imagine you focused on building paragraph. Don't comment on their grammar mistakes and capitalization, punctuation mistakes. Focus only on the organization of the paragraph. That is how you help students to improve. If you add details about punctuation and sentence patterns and all, they can't concentrate. Remember, one at a time, because these are classroom learning activities, classroom practicing activities and formative feedback. If it is evaluative, you cannot do it, right? Grammar auction is, I have explained this. You collect one type of grammatical errors and do this game. This is called grammar auction. You have numbered the sentences, the wrong sentences. Two teams, they have to take part in the auction, buy sentences and correct them. If they do not correct the sentences correctly, they lose marks. If they correct it, they earn marks. Likewise. My next topic is handling mixed ability groups. From time to time, I have talked about this. We are not lucky enough to have the same level of students in our classroom, so that we need to have variety of activities to manage mixed ability learners in the classroom. It is not specific to writing. This is common to all the language skills, right? we should have extension activities for early finishers and special activities for the low performers. And finally, it is our responsibility to take them towards a common goal and do the same kind, let them to engage in classroom activities actively. Learners may start at different points, but they should end at the end of the year, they should come to the average level. We know that their speeds are different. That is why we need to have different types of activity. When we call this differentiating instruction. We differ our instruction in 3 different ways. First thing is we can differ the task. We adapt the original task in order to provide more support for the below average students. Or we adapt the original task to provide more challenge for the above average student. Is it clear? We have one original task. We need to adapt it into 2 different levels. One for the below average and one for the above average, right? And the second method is we can differentiate the process. We scaffold. We add some activities. Now that is what I have done to the module. I have scaffolded. I have differentiated the process. I have the command module. I have added many in order to help you to understand the writing process involved in teaching writing. Right? The teacher structures the writing task to facilitate different levels. When you scaffold, there may be many simpler activities before they come to the final writing task. The third method is differentiating the outcome. The teacher can make use of writing prompts to differentiate the learning outcome. Sorry, not the learning outcome, I used the wrong word, outcome. All students receive the same prompt, but they respond depending on their level. Now I have added some activities that is up to you to try these out. Check your pupils' text, find a task which you think you need to adapt for the benefit of below average learners and explain how and why you adapt it. Secondly, is discuss how you will differentiate the process to facilitate the learners who possess different learning styles. Different learning styles, you know the learning style? Third one is give examples. Sorry?
You are visual. You use colors.
All right. Okay. Likewise, how you differentiate the process. There are kinesthetic learners. So within the writing lesson, how do you cater to these different learning styles? So take one example and make changes to the process. For example, you can start with a song and ask them to jot down information, and then they mingle and they they compare information and they add or delete information that they have gathered, and then finally they write a piece of writing as a collaborative activity. Likewise, so give examples for an occasion in which you differentiate the outcome to cater to all students. So these are activities which will help you to think more about your real classroom. That is, I have added. have explained more about adapting and extending tasks here. So leisurely read them. Now, differentiating students for advanced students, that is above average, and less advanced, that is below average students. Provide creative tasks so that students can complete it at their own ability level for advanced students. Let the students self-correct, maybe using correction code. Let them write more or write within a certain time limit, or you can give even word limit. For below average, you can correct the draft. So you have time when you ask advanced students to engage in self-correction or peer correction, you have the time to focus on below average. So you correct the draft, first draft, before they write the final. You can reduce the word limit. If you ask the others to write 10 sentences, you can ask this below average to write 5. Or you can increase the time limit or reduce the number of activities that they do. Another way is let the advanced students to engage in semi-controlled or free activities, while the less advanced students engage in controlled and semi-guided activities. These are tips for you to make your writing lessons interesting, right? Or interesting and fun. I'm not going to describe each and every slide. So you can read this. The topics that I thought useful, I have added. Overcoming challenges in the mixed ability classes. You need to do a kind of need analysis and find the kind of classroom activities the majority will enjoy. The kind of classroom activities that the majority will benefit from. Likewise, you can identify students' need and plan accordingly. These are some suggestions to overcome the challenges. We can guide students for self-directed learning. Weaker ones as well as the advanced students can be guided to work independently. Only thing we need to identify the level and simplify or expand the task. And we can assign learning buddies or partners who help them to enhance their skills. We can use different error correction strategies like spelling games, grammar auction, even chain writing. One important thing is making students aware about their level and the challenges that they have to overcome, right? So have a method of recording their progress. You don't need to involve in this. You can let the students to measure their own progress through simple activities, right? The peers can give them dictation if they are very weak in spelling, and they can maintain their records. You can give particular sentence structure. For example, I am. So throughout the week, there's a poster or a demi paper hanging in the classroom. Students during their free time, they construct sentences starting with I am, right? So the weaker ones can read and learn how to construct. Next week, there will be another structure like I have, right? And weaker ones can copy these sentences into their notebooks and they can create at their own. Another week, you can have like I like. So this can be a writing project, a self-directed one. Teacher can vary the grouping methods when pairing students and grouping. It can be same level, same ability levels or mixed ability level. But you need to have a better understanding how students move with the other students, right? And when the weak, during what type of activities the weaker ones can get the support of strong ones likewise. Otherwise, both parties will be demotivated and bored. This part I have already discussed, this evaluating writing and assessing writing. We have two types, formative and summative. Summative is done at the end. With evaluative purposes, there we give only a grade. These are repeated content. You learn this under testing and evaluation as well. And this is common to all the other skills, assessment and evaluation. There's a difference. Assessment is ongoing. We call it formative. We focus on the process. And summative, we focus on the product. For formative, we can let students learn from each other, right? That is why we encourage students to engage in self and peer assessments. But evaluative one is very competitive. They work hard to earn a good score. So they try to beat each other because it's very competitive. There are some factors even when like factors to be considered when planning lessons. There are factors to be considered when planning an assessment. We have to consider the writer. Writer means the test taker, so the one who faces our assessment. Their age and the development level, educational background and experience. That educational background in the sense what they have learned so far, linguistic level, proficiency, right? They are familiar with the task that they are going to do. Whether the text type is familiar, the sentence structures are familiar, these things you have to consider. Layout, you can't give them a totally new task under an assessment. You have to adjust your assessment to the writer's experience level. This adjusting means you can adjust techniques, formats, purpose, length. Length in the sense the length of writing and the length of time given. Then you need to consider the relevance of the assessment to the needs and the skills of the writer. That means your learner. Whether you're focusing on the specific skills that you intend to improve, right? And then you want to determine how we are going to assess the assessment criteria. You can create scoring rubrics. What do you mean by scoring rubric? It's the way in which we try to quantify whatever the thing that we are trying to evaluate. We can have two types of scoring rubrics called holistic rubrics and analytic rubrics. Holistic ones, we assign a grade or a letter, and for the analytical rubrics, we give points. When using rubrics, it is easy for the teacher to identify different needs and differentiate students, measure their level of proficiency. How can we create rubrics? If you want to learn more, I have given a link. Please refer to that and study it more, right? And then we need to set some clear parameters for our assessments, like the time allocation, the length, the purpose. Are you going to give one task or options, like the alternatives? Likewise, you need to set very clear parameters, right? This is an example for a rubric. I think those who go for paper marking, they know the rubrics and the descriptors. Even now, if you want to give grade students under excellent, we need to write a descriptor. What qualities should be there to give them or award them 9 to 10 under excellent banding, right? These are self-study materials. Actually, there are many descriptors. You can find them online and read. At least find O-level marking scheme. Read how the writing part is assessed. Now, in classroom teaching, we need to re-evaluate throughout the writing process. It is not a one-day task. For example, in order to master, let the student master paragraph writing, you cannot end it within a period or end it within a term, right? Throughout the year, you have to continue the process, giving variety of activities at different levels with different objectives. Giving feedback or responding to writing, this part we discussed. Why we assess, we need to identify. Then only we can give very clear feedback. That is why I said, if you are focusing on building a paragraph, do not give comments regarding their mechanics of writing. Focus on that particular skill that you focus or intended to improve. And you want to think the purpose of yours, whether you are helping students to grow, or are you going to see or check how much they have gathered. You have to choose how you are going to respond, whether oral response or written feedback, or are you going to give the responses immediately or delayed response? And what are the various forms of giving feedback? And we have discussed now. You can read your course manual under the section means of responding for more information. My final task is this, right? choose 2 classes, one one primary grade and one secondary grade. Write the class profile separately. If it is a primary grade, write the class profile. Secondary grade, write the class profile. Then only I can identify why you have selected certain techniques. Then you need to produce 2 lesson plans, one for the primary grade and the other for the secondary. When sending me the lesson plans, use the font Times New Roman, size 12. You can bold all the topics in the lesson plan. I need to go through the materials. Now, if you have mentioned I use the picture, then you have to submit the picture as an annex. If you have mentioned you are going to use a task sheet, you have to submit it together with the lesson plan as an annex. And send the plans as Word format and also after converting the PDF format. I asked I'm asking you to send the both formats. PDF is easy for me to read, but when you have provided Word, I can give you the comments very easily. I can do the editing part easily. Hope you will engage in this final task. Sorry. I can't hear you.
Ma'am, when are we going to send it? The last.
How long you need? How long you need for this?
Hmm.
1 month?
Okay, ma'am.
I don't know. Anyway, it's better if you can do this before your the final test,
Exam.
final
Yeah.
exam,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
I have given different activities, so you can try them and share your experience in the group that I have created, right?
Okay.
All the activities have a practical value. I have set the activities thinking that these activities you will take to the classroom, right? And now it's up to you to ask any question.
Madam, are you going to send us this PowerPoint presentation?
This presentation,
Yeah.
haven't I sent all the other presentations?
No, send, madam.
So this one also you will send.
Okay, thank you. This is very important. That's why I'm asking.
The thing is, this is hardly prepared presentations, you know.
Yeah.
But sometimes now this time I have requested not to be shared with the other branches because I usually don't use a presentation prepared by anybody.
Okay.
It's my content and it's my way of teaching.
Yeah.
But I have seen when I met some resource persons at certain occasions, they say, I found your presentations and I used it for teaching. I feel really disappointed actually because I spent a lot of time preparing this.
Yes.
I hope you can understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody has any idea about, so this is the last day of our module, so you can now give your comments.
Madam,
Yes.
Madam, can I get the link for the WhatsApp group we have created, Madam? I'm not bothering you.
No, I think, what is your batch?
12, Madam.
Batch 12. Wait. Please tell me your number, WhatsApp number.
Note 77 939 5001.
5001. I think I have appointed Fatima as an admin. Haven't I, Fatima? No, I haven't.
Ma'am, if you can share the link, they can join the group. It is easy, I think.
Okay, let me. The link is in the group. Can somebody forward it to all the groups? All the batches, I mean. That means when you all join, I have to reshare the content, no? Okay, only 35 is here.
For batch 10, I have shared, ma'am. If there is someone who is not there, just send me a message, I will share.
Can somebody forward it to the other batches?
Batch 12, we got the link, madam. Thank you, madam.
Mhm. Okay, batch 11. 10 okay, 12 okay, 11.
Ma'am, I forward it, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Right. I'm waiting for your comments regarding the module because this is one of my favorite areas, and I think I will meet you with another subject. I'm still thinking.
Ma'am, I think for us, for batch 10, this will be the last day because we met you throughout the 3 semesters, and I think the time is not enough to get the things from you, and no words. And thank you very much. And
Thank you for your compliment. Please give your comments in the group. Then I can read them. I don't know. I asked from Mr. Ajit, and he has sent me several subjects, teaching of grammar and TESOL, of course, that is something that I do every day. And then 10 may be the last one. Have you covered all the subjects, the batch 10?
Other 3 modules, ma'am, still we have to cover some 2-3 days. You are the one who is going to, to leave us.
Okay. So then, good luck for batch 10.
And ma'am, actually, if we can, to meet all the lecturers at least in one day, in our university or somewhere, if we can
Make a
arrange.
suggestion. Send an email to Ms. Ajit or that student coordinator and ask them. I'm willing to meet you all.
Yes, ma'am.
I hate
Yeah,
missing you,
physically.
and I'm going to lose a lot. I mean, even by talking to you, I learn a lot, each and every word of yours, and I really hate to miss you, ma'am. You have become a great
I'm going to start the implement the idea that Fatima suggested. I will organize a series of workshops,
Yes, please, ma'am, because I mean,
one-day
you are-
workshops for teachers. Sorry that I have to fix a kind of payment for that. I will arrange it. A theme-based workshops for secondary and
It should be,
primary.
ma'am. It's okay.
So when it is ready, I will let you know. Right? I'm getting ready. You know that if I'm doing something, I have to get ready. Right? Batch 11 and 12, we will meet in future. Good luck for batch 10. Hope you will face the exam and get very good results. Let me know the results. And when you get ready for the finals, if you have any questions, post it in the group and then I will attend to them, right? Then shall I wind up?
Thank you very much for your commitment, ma'am. I mean,
Thank you, madam. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
madam. Thank you, madam. Goodbye.
having you as a lecturer has made us, I don't know, made me realize how much there is for teaching and how much more we should learn. Thank you so much. You shouldn't, I mean, not only teach us, there should be more. You should teach more because learning from you is what can I say? It's an opportunity and it's an honor. Going through all these 3 terms with you is really great. And I mean, the batch 12 and 11, get as much as you can from her, talk as much as you can. Even you do a mistake, you will learn from it because that is how I learn from her. And I implement those. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Welcome.